Hey, what's going on YouTube? Marine X back at it again. For one solid month, I said yes to everything. Hey, what's going on YouTube? Marine X back at it again. Welcome back to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. We would love to have you part of the battalion. So sometimes we get offered, whether it's Instagram folks, Twitter influencers, TikToks, YouTube folks, we get offers from companies to showcase stuff. Some of it is crap, some of it is bangers, a very interesting mix of stuff. And I just kind of want to see what things we may test out, what things I can almost immediately just look at and recommend because I have something similar, and then what things we're just going to straight give away. All right, so this first product here is from Ekster. I've worked with Ekster plenty of times before. This is I've talked about this on the 50K giveaway. They sent me out another one. This is the Ekster laptop sleeve. They sent it in this juniper color. I actually kind of like this. I gave one away during the giveaway. I have another one, which is kind of just living in the man cave. This might be a good EDC item, a good EDC sleeve. If you don't want your stuff to always look super ruggedized, super manly, so this is my current laptop sleeve, which is by Premier Body Armor, which literally sells body armor that you can put inside of your sappy plates or your backpacks or whatever. I like it, but this thing is definitely not very discreet. It literally has armor inside, which can stop a round. This is a lot more mellow, this is a lot more refined. It has leather on the front. It actually has a nice area in here where you could put a decent sized computer. This is a MacBook Air, but I think you can fit a 14-inch MacBook Pro in here as well. A couple of slip pockets here, so you can throw anything inside of there that you want to. You can't really access those while this is closed, so that kind of sucks a little bit. The very back of this thing is 100% designed for you to slip pocket your way into glory. So you can put all sorts of stuff back here. You want to put a charger, hard drives, knives. If you want to roll with stuff like that, you can really do whatever you want. Slip pocket, throw anything back here that you wanted to. Charging cables. I think it might get a little messy really fast, so I would be cautious about how much you use this stuff. And then you have one really large pocket back here if you want to throw one large device. So just having this thing for my Ekster MacBook Air, I could say that this is a W pal. So recommend it. I know Ekster has a great warranty, a pretty good company. All right, next to that is Tisfa and Zyphy. This is channel sponsor when it comes to my live streams, but they sent out a lot of additional stuff that I wasn't really expecting to get. This is literally man cave focused item. So the Tisfa travel humidor, I gave one of these away on a live stream recently, and the person that got it actually said he likes it a lot. And here's another one. So the entire inside is Spanish cedar wood, and you have enough slots in here for what, 6 cigars, plus you have a slot in here for a lighter. And then you can actually put a little bit of distilled water in here or whatever you want to do to actually keep this thing at the correct humidity level. Slip pocket in the very front. I actually kind of like this little travel humidor. It's coming in at $53 for this specific one with the leather. I mean, that seems to be pretty competitive. I'm looking at some of their competitors. Their competitors, which are leather, also hold less cigars, and they're $50. So $53, I could say that regardless if you're sponsors, holla at you, Tisfa. I appreciate y'all sponsoring, but even if it was a miss, I will let you know this is a W. We would keep that. Just kind of group the rest of this Tisfa stuff all together. So a Tisfa regular humidor, and then a bunch of Tisfa lighters, which I can tell you all the Tisfa lighters are all bangers. The gunmetal, the ones that are just like this brushed, this darker shade of black, then all these are fantastic. They all have cutters inside. Some of them have built-in cigar rests. Some of them don't. They all have indicators on the side to let you know how much butane you have left, which is fantastic. So all the Tisfa lighters are bangers. I do wish they had a soft flame for the Tisfa lighters. I can easily recommend the lighters other than like the super obnoxious logo. I'm not a big, the logo really makes me think that these are OEM because the logos are not a consistent size. So one thing I will say, the logo makes me believe these are OEM from just a massive company, massive factory, and you're slapping your logo on them. Tisfa, I love you. But it's very apparent that these aren't made at the exact same time because they have the same dimension cutter, but your logo is a different size. Other than that, I like them. I like them a lot. Then your humidor it's a pretty nice humidor. It looks like a lot of other humidors, and it's also not labeled with your logo, which also leads me to believe that this is OEM'd from just a big factory. So can I recommend it? I would probably say just buy a local humidor or buy a whatever highly rated, reasonably priced humidor you see on Amazon. Snatch that up. If this is one of them, I would say go ahead, snatch it up. But I wouldn't spend entirely too much money on a humidor because it's almost a nice DIY project. Dango's M1 Maverick wallet, made of CNC machined aluminum. And listen, one thing I like about this thing, this was a part of my fall EDC. I have since removed it. It has been moved out of the rotation because it is very, very bulky in the pocket. If you're okay with something like that because you really want the functionality of this multi-tool back here, then you're going to enjoy this wallet. But if you don't like big, bulky filling of stuff in your pockets and stuff like that, you're not going to be a big fan of this wallet. I like the fact it has an area for you to hold cash or cards. You can hold an ID here, or maybe your insurance card, maybe your most used cards you keep on the outside, and you can maybe put a driver's license on the back. So it's very thoughtful. This is also a multi-tool. It has a slotted screwdriver, a pry bar, a bottle opener, all built into this small little keep, this little latch on the very front. These things, I think MSRP like 120 bucks. They fluctuate between like $70 and $99 for the build quality. All these lash points and stuff like that, the build quality, 100%. I do think it is worth it, especially compared to some of their competitors such as Ridge. And no one's really putting out like this high quality CNC machine aluminum with these rivets and just super well done. But is it for me? No, it is not. Entirely too bulky. Olight has been always coming out with a lot of unique stuff lately. They sent out this little O-bulb safety light. I have been using the mess out of this thing for a safety light when I actually go rucking. I put this on the front of my bag. I'm walking down a trail. Someone can clearly see that a green light is walking towards them. I'm less likely to get hit by a car or somebody on a bike or a scooter or a one wheel or something like that. It does different colors as well. So you can light it up green, which is the color I prefer to keep it. You can also change it to blue. You can do red. And I think you can do white as well. Yeah, white. Or you can just have it shining simultaneously. I wouldn't do all this unless you just really were trying to gain someone's attention. I just keep it at one solid color. And the other thing I like about this thing, it does charge with USB Type-C. So you just take this thing off with a little twist motion and it exposes a USB Type-C charging port in the very back. So now you can easily charge this thing. This is an immediate banger for me. I think that if you're already on Olight's store and you're buying some stuff, you're about to throw some stuff in the cart, this is an easy recommendation for safety purposes. W column, something I would definitely be holding on to. All right, so this one is a very interesting one because this is the Tekto F2 Bravo, and I actually really think I like this a whole lot. So the specs on this thing has it as a titanium coated D2 steel, so a very nice blade, and a forged ember handle with black titanium accents. It also has carbon fiber laid in there as well. Let me tell you something. I put this in the pocket for about a week, and then I transitioned it to my actual nutsack admin pouch. This thing is super slicey to be D2. It feels good in the hand. It's made in the USA. It has the logos are kind of prominent. They're kind of in your face. On the back, it says USA D2. Up here, it says Tekto. But other than that, I'm a big fan of this thing. Drop point style, very nice to fidget and flip with. It looks really unique. It looks very elegant and classy, almost like a gentleman's knife. Like you can carry this in kind of if you're in dress clothes or something like that. It is $149. I'm actually kind of okay with that pricing. Just putting this in my pocket. If you really wanted to get a knife that had all sorts of features on it, the only thing, it's a liner lock, but other than that, the flipper tab, titanium, this crushed carbon fiber, it looks good in any sorts of lighting. It just feels good in the pocket. If you're, you know, you can't really switch the pocket clip around, which I'm not particularly interested in doing, but you can have so many different options in the colorization. This is a W. The pricing is a little up there. I think I might do a full review on this knife, which I normally don't do, because it just feels so good. And I took this to a wedding recently. I didn't look like a complete weirdo pulling a knife out my pocket to simply use it to do some simple cutting tasks at the wedding. So I like that a lot. That's in the W column. Now, I will say this is a fantastic cable by Aoi, Ahoy. I'm mispronouncing y'all's name. Y'all just got a pound sand, okay? So let's take this thing out and check it out. So this is a very capable charging cable, but it does a little bit more than that. All right, so this cable is a Lightning USB-C 240 watt. It's an 8-in-1 cable, power delivery. This cable does everything. The only thing it does not do is deliver Thunderbolt for data. So you can't use this cable to hook up to a monitor with a computer, but you can basically do everything else. I don't own any products that are rated at 240 watts, but this is a 240 watt cable. What does that mean? You're future-proofing yourself with this when you finally do get a product that's 240 watts. Let's say if I were to buy some monstrous PC gaming laptop that required a monstrous USB-C charging cable, this would be capable. My biggest device is probably my MacBook Pro, which is 96 watts of charging, which is easily done by this cable. But the thing I like about this thing is it has this little female port here, and you could just simply switch the port that you need on the fly and not have to unplug this from the charging source. So imagine you have this plugged up into a wall or a computer or whatever, and you just simply want to change the port out. You just simply change it here. You take this out. You now can plug up the lightning cable for those freaks that are still using lightning. I'm being one of them. And you have this on the fly and on the go. Very long cable. You can also get rid of the coil part by unplugging it from this section. And then once you do that, you can just use this as a normal cable and just keep the coil section away from that. Plug this up right here, and you have yourself a decently long cable that can provide plenty of wattage. $99 for this thing. This is a maybe for me. This is a maybe for me. Listen, I'm a big advocate of USB Type-C, but I'm also a very big advocate of every single USB-C cable that I own being Thunderbolt 3 or Thunderbolt 4 rated. I want to be able to pick up a cable, plug it into my computer and plug it into a monitor or plug it into a Thunderbolt drive, and it actually works as it's intended. I would be very disappointed if this was the only cable I brought with me on a trip and I couldn't hook to a monitor, or I wasn't able to use some of my Thunderbolt capable devices because of the capabilities it doesn't have. Maybe call them if you need something like that. If you know that you would be benefited by a cable that can just charge everything from your computers to your actual charging stations to iPads, phones, everything, that's a cable for you. Now, jumping into some of these carabiners. Now, I featured this on a couple of videos before, but I will say I can give you a little bit more insight on this Rovivon. This is the U4 Pro Titanium Edition. This is a carabiner, but it's a pretty decent carabiner. One thing I like about this thing is that as much as I love my hero clips, this is a very much smaller footprint. It's made of titanium, which if you freaking peasants care about stuff like that, but I can take this, hook it to my water bottles. And once this thing is hooked to a water bottle, I can then take this entire thing, grab it really quick off a table, or I can take it, I can hang it from a bag, hang it from a different device. So as much as I like the hero clips, this has more functionality than a hero clip because it does sound a little dorky in nature, but this thing also includes a little bit of functionality when it comes to a knife. So if I want to open a package, I have that at the fly. I like being able to use this to open packages because I can gunk up this knife with boxing tape, glue, all that type of stuff versus the nice knives that are normally in my pocket. One thing I've never used on this thing, and I probably will never use on this whatsoever, is the bit driver. It does have a little bit driver on the side, and it comes ready to rock and roll with a slotted screwdriver and an actual Phillips head screwdriver. If you can get this around the $32 mark, this is an easy snag because hero clips for this specific size will probably run you about 18 bucks. You're spending about twice that amount, but you're getting a knife and a bit driver. And it's made of titanium if you care about that type of crap. So if this is for you, go for it. This is a W for me. That will go into the W pile. Next here, we have a actual battery bank by Nicor. This is the Nicor battery bank. This is the carbon fiber edition. This has a 10,000 milliamp hours or 38.5 watts. That means I could use this to charge that MacBook Air. I couldn't do a MacBook Pro because it needs too many watts, but a MacBook Air with the low wattage usage, I think I could be able to handle that pretty easily. Charge most phones pretty easily as well. It does have a little battery indicator on the side like every other power bank. One thing I like about this is two things. First off, the actual ports are highlighted in yellow. They're outlined in yellow. It makes it a lot easier to see if you're in a dark lit environment. Second thing is this provides power delivery. So the cameras I'm using right now, devices that need PD or power delivery, this can provide that. And both of these ports can provide actual power. A lot of my my battery banks I've noticed, only the USB-A port can provide power, and that kind of sucks. Finally, this thing looks fire. This thing looks so amazing. Like, let me show you what I was using before this. So before I got my hands on the Nicor, I was using the Anchor. This is also a 10,000 milliamp hour battery bank. The only thing I don't like about this one is A, it gets dirty AF. You can clean it up with a magic eraser. I understand that. But B, only the USB-A port can provide power. Both of these ports are designed to charge the battery bank. This is like one of the most popular selling items on Amazon. And I didn't find out that I can't use USB-C to USB-C until I bought this thing. So this thing literally is used by my daughters. Is going to go into the maybe pile. As much as I like it, it is about 20% more expensive than some of its competitors. And I think it's because of all that swag with the carbon fiber, which is not necessarily needed to get the job done. Speaking of getting the job done, man, Kubey sent me out a few of their knives, which I just never featured. I gave one away. So, during a live stream, make sure you follow me on live stream because we always make stuff happen quite often as well. I just wasn't a big fan of the knives. They feel very just not special. They just felt very run of the mill. Feel like I can get these things anywhere. But I do like the fact they have the G10 scales. And if I wanted to throw this on a laser and actually customize this, I could do that pretty easily with no doubt. This has D2. Just because it's D2 doesn't mean it's heat treated very well and that it's going to be super slicey. I didn't carry this in the pocket ever. I did carry its brother in the pocket, which was also D2. Has a liner lock. If this thing is less than $40, we're going to look it up. If it's less than $40, I think I might be able to recommend it just because it is the G10 scales. It looks pretty good. The OD green color. But if it's more than that, then I don't know if I am 100% down with this exact pricing. So this Kubey, and I don't even know which one this is. Okay, so most Kubey knives are between $40 and $55. If this one is around that $40 mark for D2, it has tons of reviews. The reviews are highly rated. People seem to pretty much like this thing a lot. I would say that this is a winner. You're going to feel like you do have, if you own other knives, it's going to feel really, really cheap, super cheap. But if you don't know knives, if you're using scissors, if you're using a box cutter to open up and do your daily tasks, then this is going to be an immediate upgrade. And this is something I would easily carry in my pocket. It reminds me of the Civivi Praxis. The pocket clip is pretty trash. It's not really a deep carry pocket clip. And what they mean by like the deep carry pocket clip is obviously if you're wearing like some bulky Dickies or something like that, oh, if we're moving into winter, if you're wearing like a wool pants or something really bulky, this pocket clip is going to struggle to get over the lip of the items that you're wearing. So that's a big issue for me as well, compared to like the next knife that we're going to look at, which is the TRM Shadow. I've talked about TRM before, Three Rivers Manufacturing, fantastic company. Look at the pocket clip comparison before we move on. The pocket clip comparison, the TRM easily can fit over basically any garment that you're wearing. This TRM Shadow, the show side is this beautiful. This is all CNC machine G10 scales, and they look fantastic. You can tell that they are milled. They feel real good in the hand. The other side is this nice olive looking color. Fantastic action. They have the same inspiration of the Axis lock by Benchmade. They have their own version of that. CPM 20 CV steel on this thing. Super slicey out the box. You have to be careful with this thing. This is a finger slicing 3000 easily in your pocket. It's going to make some things happen. I like the actual stonewashed looking blade on this. This is one of those knives that you swallow the pill, you make the purchase, and as long as you're good with sharpening and stuff like that, you don't spend money on another knife for the rest of your life. Has a titanium pocket clip, has beautiful hardware. It's very easy to use. But one thing I like about this knife is that the owners of TRM also own a titanium company. They started off hauling titanium and selling titanium to different manufacturers of products, knives or whatever. So they're very, very versed in high quality materials. They now sell tons of titanium to big manufacturers. So some of your favorite knife makers probably get their titanium from the Halpern or TRM owners, and they are the ones banging these things out. For me personally, if you're willing to spend around that $200 mark, maybe a little bit more than that, you're already interested in maybe picking yourself up a Benchmade Bailout, a Benchmade Mini Adamas, I think that this feels more premium than those production knives, and this is around the same price. I will grab this, especially has a better grade of steel. Might be a little bit harder to sharpen, but it's going to have a better edge retention and more corrosion resistance than those Benchmades. This is a W for me. If you're okay with spending that money, go for it. I don't always recommend high-end knives, but if that's a knife that you want to buy, that's the type of knife I will hand to one of my sons 20 years from now, as long as it's taken care of. Now, we've talked about Wuben before. Wuben sent me the Wuben X3. That thing's living in my truck. I didn't even pull it out for this video because it's a banger of a flashlight. I love the functionality of it. It's a battery bank. I'll link the video up down below just in case you missed it. But I also got one of its little brothers, the Wuben XO. This is actually a pretty decent EDC flashlight. Now, one thing about this thing is we got to talk about the functionality. If you want to lock this in the pocket, which you absolutely need to lock this while it's in your pocket, or you will accidentally turn it on. The top has this little switch at the top. It's so easily pushed. I have turned this thing on numerous amounts of times, and that's my biggest complaint about it. My second biggest complaint about it is the pocket clip is complete trash. It's not movable at all. And so you cannot get this over any clothing. I'm wearing joggers today. I can't get this pocket clip over my joggers pants pocket without looking like a complete idiot. So I have to let this live in my pocket. If you want it to live in your pocket, you need to lock it. You lock it by hitting this thing 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. It blinks twice to let you know that it's locked. So now you can't turn it on. If you don't lock it, it's going to be on in your pocket. You won't even know it. 4 times to turn it back on. And it comes in low lumen mode, lets you know that it's back on. Low lumen mode is, I think it's 1 lumen. I don't remember the specs on this thing. But for $59 with a 15% off coupon, that's going to get you an additional about $6.50 off this thing. Here's the thing. There's a lot of competitors are in this space that are around the $59 mark. I can kind of think of the Olight Baton 3. I think that's like $69. If you like the way this thing looks, buy it. But if you need a very dependable pocket clip, because if you also want to put this on some type of headband or something like that and let it face forward, it is a beast of a pocket clip to use. It's very, very difficult to use. So I love the aluminum feel of this thing. I literally feel like I can chunk this thing across the man cave, go pick it up, and it's going to be fine. This is 100% for me personally, my use case, a no-go. Another flashlight, which is a very interesting one, is the Streamlight Wedge XT. Streamlight just dropped this thing as a successor to the Streamlight Wedge, which dropped earlier last year. A smaller version of that Streamlight Wedge, now with a rear tail switch, an included lanyard, and a USB-C port, which is in an obnoxious area, which you're going to have to find some kind of plug for, which, side note, they sell like carbon fiber plugs for these things. You can buy those on Amazon as well. I'll link those up down below. Made of, I think it's made of aluminum. It feels pretty good in the hand. I think it has basically 2 modes on, I think a 50 and a 500. You can set this up to come on any mode. I have mine now set up to come on low lumen. When it comes out the box, it comes on in the higher lumen at 500. You can change that by just pushing this tail switch 10 times, it will change which mode comes on first. I could almost recommend this, but the pricing. This right now is $109 MSRP on Amazon. It's still hovering around $100. In a month or so, the price is going to go down. I can't recommend this right now unless you just really need this smaller size. This fits way better in the pocket. The Streamlight Wedge is a big boy. You're going to feel it in your pocket. It's going to get on your nerves. The next things here are, we'll kind of get through these a little bit faster because these are some things I said yes to, but I don't know how often I'm going to use them. I do EDC stuff on my truck, but I don't know if these will ever make a video. This is Foxwell's OBD2 scanner. This is like a super high-end mechanic level scanner that they sent out to me, which I think this thing can do every mode in the book. I kind of was reading the specs on this thing, and it seems like it's very, very high-end. How much is it, though? Let's check it out. Foxwell Auto Master Pro, or $222, and it has 4.2 stars. That's not great in my book with over 1,800 ratings, but at 4.2 stars for over $200, this is almost an immediate no for me. This is probably going to be a giveaway item for me because I already own a scanner that's like this that I bought with my own money. I know dash cams. I know dash cams well. So I have here, this is the DC600 4K UHD dash cam. This looks like every dash cam I've ever put in any of my vehicles. So nothing super unique about this thing, except for the fact that it's 4K. If you buy a dash cam, I would say at least get 1440p, which is 2K. If you can get a 4K dash cam. This also has a G sensor, meaning that it's going to sense if someone bumps against your car, someone opens your car door, or if you get like in a slight crash. But I will say that this next dash cam is a freaking banger. This dash cam is by Vantrue. It has some features in it that almost make me want to replace my current dash cam. The only thing I don't like about this thing, it is pricey. It is $260 with a $50 coupon, which brings it down to $200. It is 4K in the front, or you can do 1440p in the front and 1440p in the rear, which means it has a rear facing camera as well. This thing has multiple cameras. So it has a camera that faces the front. It has a camera. You could also use a camera to face the inside, like the dash. So if you're an Uber driver or a Lyft driver, you can use that. And you can also buy an extension and run an additional camera to point out your back windshield. So this has a lot of different features on it. Has a nice little diagram that shows you how to wire this thing up. The only reason I haven't put this in my vehicle yet, though, is because my current dash cam is hardwired into my vehicle, but it's my mini USB. This uses micro USB. So I would say, because of the features, because of the crazy coupons that are online, because bringing that thing down from $200 to $150, or actually $259 to $200, this is a maybe. There's too many competitors out there that are around the $150 to $200 mark that can give you that rear vision. This has a better suction cup. I like all that crap, but now Top Don makes some banger items that can go in your vehicle. I think these might even be an EDC vehicle must-have that we might need to talk about. So these are the Top Scan by Top Don. You keep these in your OBD2 reader, and with these things, you can leave them completely plugged up at all times. And I know some people say, oh, you shouldn't leave that stuff plugged up. It can ruin your vehicle. There are now manufacturers of vehicles that sell these things that you can buy with an online subscription like Dodge and GMC and just constantly get readings from your vehicle. So if they can do it, then I'm pretty sure some of these would be safe as well. Don't take advice from a freaking peasant on YouTube like me. Do your own research. But do I keep something like this plugged up in my vehicle? Yes. I have one of these similar to this plugged up in my vehicle. It overrides the V4 mode on my truck because I hate when my truck goes down a V4 mode from V8. And it also gives me readings of what's going on with my truck at all times. This type of thing can do the same thing. It's Bluetooth ready, so you can always have features on your vehicle to see what's that light, what's that code, what's the RPM on my vehicle, what's the TPM, the TPMS sensors on the vehicle, how much air pressure's in there, all sorts of information. This is a W for me. If you know the capabilities of these things, you would understand. And they've sent me 2 of them, which means we're going to be giving those out, man. Make sure you're a channel member. Link in the description down below. This company reached out to me, asked if they can send this thing out to me. At first, I was hesitant because it's just a big glorified battery bank, but I use this thing every single day. I might even have to do a video about this thing. This is called the FJ Dynamics. This is a big old battery bank. This is I think a 540 watt, if I'm not mistaken. I'll put all the specs down below on this thing, but it's the most elegant looking battery bank I've ever had. You can use this thing if you go camping. You can use this thing. You know what I use this for most of? I like to move around the house with my work computer. And sometimes I'm so far away from an outlet that I can't plug in, or I don't want any of my kids, of 5 that I have, tripping over the cord of the charge that I'm using, ripping my work laptop off the table. This allows for me to plug up my work laptop with this 100 watt power delivery for the USB-C in the front. And I can just have a very short cable, put this right next to my computer, and this thing will run my computer all day. The battery in this thing is so big, it can charge up my MacBook Pro 6 times from 0 to 100. Big, massive battery bank. Also on the side here, there's an additional plugs. So you have 2 more plugs here. The top one is 100 watts. The below it is 65 watts. And then you have 2 18 watts delivery, 100 watts, 65 watt, 2 18 watt delivery, which is completely detachable. So if you want to take this off and just kind of run a slim model, you can just use the 1 plug in the front, or you can slip this back on and instantly you have more additional plugs and it illuminates when it's ready to rock and roll. I actually can't believe how much I like this thing. I've already taken this thing to my hunting property with me. And there are so many competitors, whether it's Jackery or Anchor, that have the same wattage output. They're about the 504 watt output maximum. And they have more features. They have actual 110 plugs that you can use. But what are you really plugging up into those 110 plugs unless you're straight camping? This is the type of battery bank you can use every single day. Whether it is the other day, we had some buddies over and we were all playing cards in the living room around the ottoman. Everybody was on their phones. I was able to bring this out, set it on the ottoman. People just plugged right up and were able to charge their phones up on the fly. Kids can charge up iPads on the fly. Now, I do wish the pricing was a little bit lower, but I'm just telling you, when it comes to this very small size, when you compare it to its competitors, it's top notch. I did get the solar panels with it as well. The thing about the solar panels, the reason I think the solar panels bring the price up so much is because you can obviously use the solar panels to charge this thing up, but you can also use the solar panels independently. So you can just bring the solar panels, open them up, and plug up directly to these things to charge a phone or something like that as well. So some things I don't like about it. There's no auto off feature. If I turn this on, I go in the house for 10, 11, 12 hours, and I forget to turn it off, these lights will be on for 10 or 12, 11, 12. They're going to be on. But it takes forever to drain itself. So, that's one thing. They will be on. Another thing is it takes a while to charge. I think if I were to use this thing for a week straight, using it every day to charge my laptops, it will probably finally die. But it's going to need a solid 6 to 8 hours to charge. Maybe I'm just guessing, but I always will plug this thing up before I leave the man cave at night. When I come out in the morning, sometimes it's not done. So if I leave the man cave, let's say I leave the man cave at like 2300, I come out here at like 07 in the morning. Sometimes it's not finished charging for me personally. If I had to do it all over again and they didn't send this out to me, I was just watching some peasant on YouTube that had this, would I buy it? 100%. In an emergency kit, do I need plugs? I don't have a CPAP machine. I don't have there are no devices in my house that need an actual 110 to charge. None of the gaming devices, no phones, no laptops, nothing. Anything that needs a plug to survive is not a part of my survival kit, not for my 72-hour bag. This easily can integrate into a blackout kit or a 72-hour bag, charge radios, charge phones. Brevite sent me out this bag. This is a pretty decent bag. These things, you've seen these things all over YouTube. Now, they sent 2 of these, and I used one for a while. I took one on a trip, and this is the other one that they sent. This is really a camera this is a bag for people that really have camera stuff. Very back here lets you put this over a suitcase. There's nothing really special about this bag. There are a few things about it that are unique. First off, the entire bag can be thrown in the washing machine and washed. So if the bag is dirty, it's getting on your nerves, you can literally just take this entire thing, make sure it's empty, and just throw it in the washer. Here is a little cubby space. If you have some type of camera equipment or knock around sunglass pouches, you can throw it in the top here. It does have a pocket on the side for water bottles or a tripod. That's why it has this extra strap. So if you have a tripod, you can put it in here and strap the tripod down. The other side has an access for a camera. So if you have camera gear, you can stick it in there. It has different dividers, which allows for you to actually divide this thing up. So you can move this actual divider around and keep different chargers and stuff inside of here, however you want to use them. And then the very back has a laptop sleeve, which can fit a 14, I think it easily does fit a 14-inch MacBook Pro very back here. So there's nothing super unique about this thing. $130 to protect your camera equipment. It feels a little pricey to me, like it does. I get the quick access to your cameras and all that good stuff, but I think there are other companies that are making camera access bags that are a little bit cheaper. Especially the padding on this, the very bottom, is not that great. And I don't know how I would feel about putting my device in here, plopping it down, and it not breaking. The shoulder straps feel like a complete afterthought. Like they just took no thought about them at all. There's no moisture wicking at this at all. You're going to sweat like crazy with this. You're going to sweat on your shoulders. Rue, you're going to get a video on this thing because this is an interesting product, to say the least. This is called the Rue 70 liter. This is a big honking 70-liter storage case with a see-through storage area, so you can see what's inside of this thing. It's collapsible. You can also store this on storage racks inside of your house. It's waterproof as long as you put the lid on correctly. It stands up pretty easily on its own, but it also collapses down to like this super small shape. So you can store this entire thing and it pops right out back into place. You can't stand on this. And I think this thing is coming in at a pretty competitive price. The Rue 70 liter is $300. Its direct competitors in this space are going to be something like the Pelican BX80, which is about $319. Don't quote me on that. You can also look at the Yeti Go Box 50. I think they also make a bigger Yeti Go Box, which is like $300. And then there's like Plano boxes, and there's other companies as well that make stuff similar specs, like Rome, etc., etc. So for me right now, my first impressions of it, only having used it 2 times, it is a maybe. I need to give it more time and more of a review. But its first impressions, especially compared to some of its competitors, it is very interesting. So anything here that you see interesting or you would probably use yourself, comment down below. I would love to know your comments. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you part of the battalion. If this is not your first time stopping by, well, thanks for once again stopping by, watching me run my grape. For everyone else, we'll speak soon.